Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing fine as well. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for saying yes to this conversation.
My honor, completely my honor.
Awesome, awesome. So currently we are live on LinkedIn and YouTube. So whoever is joining us, you can say a quick hi. The idea is to also interact not just with each other, but people who have joined us live. And this recording will be there on both platforms, so you can always go back and check in case you're missing it. But yeah, thanks again for joining us, Jocelyn.
My
For the people who don't know you or who don't know you like me, if you want to give like a quick little introduction or however you want to take it, would be nice to for them to know you.
Definitely. So I'm Joseleen Princy. I been in the industry, in the IT industry for 10 plus years, and I'm a team leader, business analyst, working for Epsilon. And my role is a combination of individual contributor plus a people manager. I love what I do, and I am from Chennai. I'm a Tamilian, but now settled in Bangalore, loving the city. Though I'm not completely settled, I'm truly loving to explore the city. And Sonali has been my ally for a very long time. We met in my organization a couple of times. I also met her outside, and this is completely my pleasure to be a part of the session. And thanks for the opportunity, Sonali.
Of course, of course. Perfect. So, Jocelyn, not many people say they love their jobs. Yeah. And I'm very curious, what makes you love your job?
It took time to understand that this is where I belong to. I started off my job in the industry as a tech, developer, and then someone who worked in my company identified that skill in me and wanted me to be in the BA, you know, area. And I think this is where I belong. And it took some time to understand it, and now I'm completely in sync with that idea.
Perfect, perfect. And you're from Chennai now in Bangalore. How much time did you get required to settle down? And I'm guessing you're here for a while. So are there too
It's
many differences?
It's 1.5 years, but I'm still settling. I wouldn't say completely settled, uh, but nothing will stop me from loving the city. No plans of going back anywhere.
Perfect, perfect, awesome. All right, that's fantastic. So, today's conversation, it's we're calling it "The Future is Fluid: How Identity, Tech, and Work Are Evolving Together." And we kind of already have started the conversation because you mentioned that you started your work in a different way, and then you went in a different direction. Somebody noticed you, they kind of gave you a chance, and you very fluidly entered into your own way, right? And same with city. I mean, no matter Chennai and Bangalore are not too far apart, but it's still quite a bit of a change, right? So it's going to be a very important discussion, and a very fun one around how things in these industries are changing, because you see that generally when it comes to Bangalore, we were known as the Silicon Valley of India. You look at anyone, people are doing all sorts of things. It can get overwhelming, from jobs to side hustles to startup founders to investments, venture capitalists. So many things are happening. And I guess, if I have to kind of ask you to kind of get this conversation into motion, we see that too many things are changing around us, like workplaces. And in the workplaces, we see people, we see culture, we see technology. You're part of the whole technology domain, right?
Yeah.
So do you think workplaces are catching up to that, right? Because things around us are changing, people's needs and wants are changing. Now we see so many technology advances are coming. What do you think? What's happening? Like, are we on board, or is that too much happening around us?
I completely agree with the fact that changes are happening. I mean, change is always a constant. We are not new to any changes. This industry has seen many evolutions, but now that artificial intelligence has come into the picture, and we're all trying to adapt, you know and we're all trying to accommodate AI in our daily work life. So I think it could be overwhelming to the industry, but I think we're doing great. We're all traveling to a direction where we have to understand the need of the hour. And I think we're doing great in terms of technology, in terms of advancement in the technological terms, and also about people and culture and inclusion. I'm very happy to say I could feel that we all crossed that awareness phase. Now we're in a more actionable phase, because before 5 or 10 years we were all focusing on sensitization, giving awareness to everyone, trying to make people understand. But I think we crossed that phase successfully. We're in an actionable phase. And are we going in the right speed? Probably not there yet. We can be faster than this, but it's a good news that we are already, in the right direction. What do you feel, Sonali? You've been also in a very, demanding industry.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jocelyn. I think you're right. Technology obviously is moving. Like I blink and there's a new app, and I don't know what to do about it. Right? It's just so crazy, and you just talk to people and you feel like you're just going to learn about something new, and that becomes old news, and people have already moved on to the next. But at the same time, at the end of the day, as people, we're all a bit similar. I would say quite similar, right? Most of us, if not all, want to work at a place where we are accepted, we are celebrated. I want to work in a place where I'm working because, not because I need to pay the bills, but because I want to, because my colleagues are nice, my manager is nice, there's some purpose in the work. So a lot of people start to talk about those things. And I think at the heart of it all is inclusion. Like, how do you not talk about all the differences we have, right? Like you mentioned that you were in a different role, you went to a different role. I'm sure people in the new role also helped you, kind of skill up. When you moved cities, I'm sure people in Bangalore also made you feel like you belong, made you feel like, hey, this is a good place for you to settle, good place for you to stay. So one person can't do too many things. As a collective society, we have to, create an environment where we are able to encourage people to be themselves, and less of judgment. And I like when you mentioned that, hey, we've moved from awareness to action. I'd like to believe so myself as well. I think, but because how much can we be aware? We have to be aware and do something about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. You have to move past just because knowledge not applied doesn't mean anything. Like, and I can be like, hey, I know this tool or I know that tool, or I know about this term, but what am I doing with it? Right? There has to be some output, some way that I can use that knowledge for good. And like technology, we have to also be very conscious of people. I want to know people around me, and I want to know different kinds of people. And I think we all should kind of start looking at it that way, that if I'm working with someone, how can I work with them better? What are the parts about them that makes them them? We got to connect with each other as human beings, just like you and I have connected multiple times. We just vibed on so many things because we're not just connecting on one topic or one domain. There's more to that. There's more layers to a person's personality.
Totally agreed.
Awesome. Awesome. So Jocelyn, you're also a leader. How many teams or how many people do you manage currently?
I mean, individually, I have 3 people under me,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
apart from that, in my accounts, the projects I work, there are 2 to 3 people. So I would say
Okay.
like 5 to 6.
Nice, nice. And how was it for you to step into a leadership role from, I mean, I'm guessing you started as an independent contributor. Was it like a natural, like you always felt like you had it in you, or did it take you time to learn the ropes of being a leader?
Is a continuous process for sure. But what happened with me in my case, that I was prepared for this role. Well, I was doing supervision, I was doing mentoring even before I stepped into this role officially. So it was not entirely new, but there was a difference between supervising and mentoring unofficially versus and mentoring people under you. So there's a nuance to it, but I did have great help from my leaders and from my supervisors, immediate skip level, to be able to understand. And we also have leadership courses in my organization for the first time leaders to understand, the different leadership styles, because there's nothing, like there's no template, to
Yeah.
be a leader. There are some, you need to follow some of the, guidelines, which the company says you to do, but there's no template, I would say. There are different
Yeah.
styles, but it's all up to you what style you incorporate into your, line of management. So I
Nice.
think I got very good help. But what I was actually um, thinking about was how much people would open up to me. You
Hmm.
know,
Okay.
that was something that I thought. Will people open up to me? Will they barrier between me and them? How soon they're going to break that? But surprisingly, I don't think there was any barrier. They open up. They're very open to me, and they have given me that space. So
Yeah.
that's very surprising. I'm like, okay, fine. I think I
Yeah.
I overthink a lot.
Yeah. Interesting. Why did you think that they'll have a barrier? Like, why did you feel like that?
I mean, I needed to, look into their perspectives. I wanted to, fill into their shoes and think what what would have been their perspective on a trans woman. I mean, had they ever met someone in their life? Was that a bad experience? Was that traumatic for them? Quick towards, this. I'll never know, right? Because people come from various life, and transphobia is a real thing. I uh, overlook that fact. So I had those inhibitions. These are normal inhibitions for every marginalized community when they try to blend in with the mainstream society. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So
Yes.
that was a very small feeling, but immediately I think I was proven wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So, Jocelyn, what I really like about you is you're very real. Every time I've heard you speak with me on stage at the multiple workshops we have done, um, I think a lot of people who come from marginalized spaces, unfortunately, are trained to be hesitant, are trained to be a little nervous because we've always or most of the times have gotten some or the other bad feedback. People have not acknowledged us or they've been rude to us. So everyone also takes their time to settle down, to kind of figure out, is this the right space, is this a safe space for me? But I guess you can afford to do that when you're just a team member. But when you're a leader, people are looking up to you. They're looking at you for directions, they're looking at you for that safety net, right? So I'm guessing you had to also quickly understand that, hey, I need to keep being authentic because my team also needs to trust me as a leader. Because the moment, if you're hesitant or nervous, or if you don't have the conviction in something, even if your team follows it, they might, in the back of their head might have a doubt or so, right? And because I've seen you do it so beautifully, I just wanted to quickly pick your mind into this, right? Because I know that in the workplaces, right, there's a whole thing about, oh, leaders should be more authentic, we should be more authentic. But a lot of times we don't know what that means. A lot of people feel authentic means saying things whatever is in your heart, no matter how rude that is. And then the opposite only happens, right? And I know you have mentioned that there is no template of being a typical leader, but whatever in your journey or in your experience, if a couple of tips you can share, that people can be authentic, but they need not lose a part of themselves in doing that.
Oh yeah, this is a very good question. Let me tell my take on this, because authenticity is, I mean, not only for a leader but for everyone. I think authenticity, in turn, allows your creative juices to come out. Because the more you hold back, the more time and energy you put on that particular aspect. So you miss on to explore your creativity, explore your productivity itself. So the more authentic you are, the more you can expand on your thought process itself. And that's what I do. And even with my reports, I tend to be very authentic. I tend to share my life experiences. I've lived two lives, so I can relate to most of them. I don't know if uh, others can relate to my life, but I can relate to their lives because I've lived two of them. I know most of what they feel is something that I would have felt down my lane. For example, I can very well talk about the break I had uh, for my transition. I mean, during my transition, that was a natural break I had to take, and that kind of did hit, my in a very very small capacity, but it did. So if they feel that their career progress is also, having that kind of, slow down, I am very in talking about what happened in my career and how I came out of that and how I bounced back and how I healed, from whatever happened in my life. So I have very real time examples and I'm very real to them. And my life experiences could be different from what they have seen and known and faced, but that's completely going to be useful for them. They can understand, where I came from and where I am now, and that could inspire them in a way. So I definitely feel that being authentic is important. And about, as told you about, a typical template for a leader is something that I really don't have that, because I want to be flexible. When I have someone who's fighting with me, I want to be that polite person. But when I have someone who's not listening to me, I want to be, I want to press or push on them. So I I want to be like versatile and flexible in that I don't fall into the typical, template. Though some people do, I've seen that also. It's not like, as I told you, there are different leadership styles, and some people adapt to one particular style and template for a long time. But I want to just be fluid there also. Wherever water, kind of goes, it takes its shape and form. So I want to be that.
Perfect, perfect. So what I got from you is like, sharing your personal stories of, certain things that you have gone through, using that as an anchor to let people know and connect with them, and not having a very, I would say, strict approach, a very rigid approach in the way you lead people, leading people as you get to know them as the situation arises, being very fluid and flexible, and also at the end of the day, being real, as real, of course, as you can get as a leader, within your own boundaries and all of that. It's just very very interesting, right? Thanks for sharing. I'm sure that people who are listening to us at whatever point of time will be able to derive something out of it and use it in their workplaces, right? So another thing I want to understand, because you were like sharing about, your journey as a trans woman in the workplace, you're a leader, and you also transitioned while you were working, not like you transitioned before and then you entered the workspace. So in a certain way, people have seen a little bit of a before and after, and like you mentioned that we have, when you initially were, wanted to team lead a team or something, you were a little nervous as to how will I be perceived, because like, at the end of the day, a lot of us have some notions, have some experiences from the past, and using that only we judge a person. Not many people give them the chance to prove us wrong, or prove anything different, right? So has it ever happened to you that people have misunderstood something about your journey or oversimplified it, like, or maybe they thought, oh, you've had it so easy, or they've thought otherwise, anything like that?
No, very honestly speaking, I don't think I've this to anyone. I mean, like what they have understood or what they've misunderstood about me. I really have not gone. But uh, about oversimplifying and overcomplicating, both extremes could happen. Is I really I neither expect anyone to glorify me for what I am and for who I am, nor do I want them to sympathize with me? So all I want, though we all have very different life experiences, some of the life experiences I would have had would never have been encountered, to anybody else. Yet there are similarities that we can share between our, life and lifestyle uh, experiences. Expect people to have that balance in understanding the similarities and also being tolerant towards the differences. That is where the diversity, the beauty about diversity comes into picture. When you have diverse culture, diverse lifestyles, it's very interesting, and beautiful. Aesthetically also, it's beautiful to understand, or how my life would go, how my weekend would go, how it could be different, and how I would also have commitments towards my life and family. There are a lot of similarities, being food or health or mortgages, the financial commitments and the vacations that we have with the families. So we could have very similar experiences that you have. And again, they could be other very different. So I want people to strike the balance between embracing, the similarities and the differences together. That's what
Right.
I really expect.
Perfect, perfect. So you're saying that, when I remember we were talking once and you mentioned that, hey, when a group of women or people at work talk to each other, let's say they're talking anything apart for work, right? They're getting to know each other, or they're talking about their families and people at home. And a lot of times they don't know how to bring you into the conversation, or how to, again, people mean well. I would like to go around it, but they don't know, like, should we be asking? Should we not be asking? So, in that whole confusion state, they forget to include you in the conversation altogether. And that's when I remember you mentioned that, hey, if you have family at home, I also have family. If you are married, I also have a partner. At least, like, it's okay to ask, or it's okay to don't assume that our life is so different also, right? There are so many normal everyday elements as well, right? Even a person who comes from different backgrounds also has, it's not 100% different than the other people at work. So are there any examples, maybe if there are other people at work who lead a team that has a trans employees, or someone from marginalized communities, or even who have colleagues or friends? Should there be something that they can do, ask, not ask, anything from your experience?
I'm happy that you remember that particular incident, that instance. But this is where, Sonali, I really want to talk about inclusion, because what happens is a lot of people interpret inclusion in a very literal, like a dictionary definition. Like when you include some an employee, a trans employee, into the works, any institution, they think that's inclusion is all about. Inclusion starts socially. That is the very vital place to start. This movement will have to start there. The most important aspect of inclusion is what I feel, because unless that happens, no matter what the government does, or no matter what the authorities do, it's not going to transcend into, in my perspective. So we need to identify places where we can include our voices into the lunch table conversations, into the dinner table conversations. Because listen, our voices have been curbed for centuries and centuries. You wouldn't know what my perspective is. Forget about what happened in my life, but what about a some general affair? Do you know what I feel? Do you know what I feel about feminism? you know do you know what I feel about environmentalism? My voice is a very different. My voice could be different, my mindset could be different, because I come from a very different place. So where I come from, the perspective would could be rich and diverse. So we need to allow these voices to come and to to take its place, That is when I think we understand the roots of the problem. Because what happens is, Sonali, sometimes um, there is a tendency for people to go into the savior mode. Like, do you know any NGO where I can support people? What can I do for the trans people who seek help in the roads? Immediately they get into the savior mode. But honestly speaking, this community uh, is not willing to be saved. This community needs to be empowered. It needs to be enabled. So in order to do that, this movement has to, the roots, it has to be fixed from the roots. And the roots is the society. And who is society? It's you and me, right? So I would say this has to come from a very nuanced place, Sonali. It's you can. I mean, we can speak about this whole day, but this is a reality that I see, and I think changes are happening. But as I told you earlier, are we there yet? Not in the speed that I would expect personally, but we are.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, I think you're so right. Because now that I think about it, I mean, everybody has done a version of that, right? The whole savior syndrome. And I think I've also heard many people say that, hey, how can I support? Where can I donate? What causes, right? Um, Although the thought is definitely noble, no doubt about it.
Appreciable. Appreciable.
You know,
Yeah.
appreciable. But then at the end of the day, um, what about the day to dayness of an employee, right? Like you mentioned, right? I mean, if I have a trans employee or an LGB employee or whatever, any other, it can be any marginalized group, right? Anyone who's different that than majority of the people, and can um, have some issues to belong to a certain place because of people, like not that they don't want to belong or anything, like have some unique challenges, just merely celebrating them once a year or putting them on a panels and putting their posters on different social media profiles or anything like that, or the company websites, and talk about culture, I don't think is merely enough. Because at the end of the day, it's like, let's say everyone, all of us have our birthdays once a year, or imagine that day every Tom, Dick, and Harry shows up to your birthday and celebrates you, and the rest of the year they don't talk to you. They don't know who you are. They ignore you. They walk past you. They don't want to have lunch with you. They don't care about your problems. They don't ask you for your opinions. But every birthday they come and they're super happy for you. They celebrate you like it's nothing. And the moment the clock strikes 12 for the next day, they're gone. It is as similar to this as it can get. And I just feel like, why would anyone want to work in a workplace like that? Like, would you want to go to work and feel invisible, right? Where your thoughts are not valued? And I love when you mentioned that, hey, because certain people come from a particular experience or background, their thoughts on everyday topics can also differ, which is, I think, the beauty of it, right? Like, I would definitely one fine day love to sit and understand your idea of feminism or your idea of sustainability or whatever, right? And just to learn and get a perspective and think, oh, this is also a way in which people think. Perhaps that broadens my understanding of a subject.
Exactly.
If I'd never ask, I'll never know.
Truly. That's completely right, Sonali, because as I again said, I mean, my views could be, could come from different places because I have enjoyed male privilege. And at the same time, I've not female issues. You know what I'm saying? So there are a lot of nuances here. So my a different place, it could be right or wrong. But what I'm saying is, the more is we could bring constructive solutions also.
Yeah, yeah. Very interestingly, I mean, I'll throw the question. If you want to pick up, you can pick up. Since you mentioned that you have enjoyed male privilege, not many men agree that there's a privilege, but it's out in the open. It's true.
My
And
God. Oh, I every day I think about it.
oh, I think we've lost Jocelyn for a quick bit. Or is it me?
I'm here.
Hello. Yeah, I think we're back. Sorry, we lost each other for a bit. Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Now we were talking about the whole male privilege thing, right? Not many men agree that there's a privilege.
Oh
Again,
yeah, I think about it every day.
yeah, and you're also obviously experiencing a different side of the, I would say, spectrum at the moment. Yeah. Um, how does it change for people around you? Like, would you say that male privilege is so prevalent that women really struggle through it, or do you think that no, currently things have changed? Like, what would be your perspective, because your experience is obviously supremely unique. As a woman, I don't know, and I don't understand it, from your point of view. My point of view is, again, grown up in a certain manner, so I understand it very differently. Would love to know, what has it been for you?
Oh, it has been definitely different in various levels. It's not just in one place, in many many places. Be it both for the women and the men. When I understand what women had to go through, I'm like, oh my god. And we women still go through a lot of those struggles. And uh, uh, and I can say that that lines are getting blurred a little bit. I'm very happy. The movement has really become great now, and I enjoy seeing strong women, like powerful women, and I see many in my organization. That's one of the biggest things that I love in my organization. But again, as I told you earlier, are we there yet? Have we reached the destination? I would say like not there yet. It's kind of sad, like that even now we have to deal with some of the issues, against women. But I think definitely the changes are happening, and I'm seeing more and more strong, bolder women coming up, and the only thing is, it has to be faster than this. We need this, to happen. We need women. We need more CEOs, more entrepreneurs, more leaders, from women. And I think that would definitely bring a lot of flavors to the organization, to
Yeah.
any place, because women are very, very efficient, very
Yeah.
strong, very meticulous, right? So I'm happy to see a lot of changes. and
Hmm.
and I also, men are they're more understanding now. They're
Hmm.
right now, as I told you, the lines are being blurred. They are super gentlemen, that we might not have seen before some 50 years, but now, especially in Bangalore, that's one of the reasons why I love the city. They're very broad-minded, lesser conservative, lesser regressive, you know. But I understand, where they come from. I can understand, both the sides, and I'm happy to have experienced, both the lives. Now that I'm like, okay, I had this, I didn't have this. Now I have this. Now I don't have this. No, I could,
Yes.
I could have a matrix
Yeah.
and say, okay,
That's
fine, okay, I cannot wear shorts and go down to the grocery shop. Okay, fine,
Yeah, yeah,
which I
yeah.
used to do
Oh, so
before.
cool, so cool. Yeah, yeah. It's you're right. You can't. Not even go down. Not even open the door. These are all things. And of course, I grew up looking like this for a very brief period of my life. I had a different life. So I had long hair, and I was in my girly girl phase, and definitely I saw, even in if you look at women, right? In the women also, every community has a spectrum of their own, correct? um, Presentability, and I would say the expectation from a woman to look a certain way also comes with some advantages and disadvantages. So I think, in another word, it's called pretty privilege. So if if a woman looks a certain way, walks, talks, presents herself a certain way, people perceive them and give them attention or not give them attention, whatever, wherever you are in the spectrum. And it doesn't matter who that person is, right? Because again, like you, I have a very interesting mix of experience. I used to be very tomboyish in school, would not get any attention from men or women, no one. Like, just basics, right? The usual, the friend, kind of attention, you're just a friend types. And then I thought that okay, maybe uh, I should talk, like agree with people and be like, why don't I just try growing my hair and putting makeup and looking more like a woman, traditionally how women are supposed to dress and present and all of that. And I was said, why am I so stringent about this? Let me just see what happens. And I think I went through that phase. I really enjoyed it, but I somewhere in the back of my head and heart I knew it's just temporary. But the way people start to look at me, the amount of heads that would turn, the people who never even considered me in a room, the way they spoke to me, I was like, what is happening? Because I've not changed as a person. It's not like I'm now way more smart or intelligent or witty or funny. Nothing. Just the way I look has changed. And that merely changed the way people looked at me. And it's addictive. Like you want to feel important when you're in a room. You want people to pay attention to you. And I think I was also very concerned as to what's gonna happen. Though if go back to who I really am and the way I want to present myself, what does that mean for people around me? So it takes some time to know that at the end of the day, you have to be right by yourself. The right people will find you. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you something. I always had this question in my mind. So I knew that you associated with an organization. Sometimes, how did you decide to become an entrepreneur? How did this empowerment come from? And you know, did you have the support system? Like partnership or all that, or it was all you? Because I learned that the blog, the website was all designed by you, and I'm like, oh, so she's an all in all. So I wanted to understand, like, how do you how did you take that courage from, and about this entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. So this is my second official venture. I've had a company before this, which I ran for 2.5 years.
Oh,
That
okay.
was in a totally different field. That was for mental health of teenagers. And that's for which I actually moved to Bangalore back in 2019. And I have unofficially had a lot of side hustles, projects, build things with other people way too many times. Traditionally, I've never really held a job for too long. Think the If you leave let alone my last company, before that I would not survive in an organization for more than a year. The moment it would cross 6 to 8 months, I would realize, okay, time for me to leave, search for another place and go. Because I figured that every organization I worked at the end of the day, a part of me would always have that bug to do something different or have some ideas, and I wouldn't like the way things were moving so slow, too many processes, not enough creative things. And of course, the bigger the organization, the less and less creative risks you can take. And a lot of organizations at the one point of time, you also forget the purpose. Like the founders of the organization started any organization with the purpose. I don't think many people just start, "Arey, we only want to earn money." They want to solve a problem. The more the organization grows, the purpose is lost. You ask any other people working in any organization, what is the purpose of this organization? They will not know. They don't care. Nobody asks those questions. So I felt, what kind of a life is this where I'm just coming and doing some work and I don't even know how is this affecting and helping another person, right? So I want to know how my involvement in this work is helping, growing, supporting another independent human being. That's when I'll feel good about my output. When I don't feel like working on Monday, I'll feel like, no, but I'm helping another person. My work matters because somebody's waiting for my output to go out there on whatever platform and whatever form that is. So I think I've always kept pushing and searching for it. I also come from a line of businessmen, entrepreneurs from my mother's side. So I think that DNA is also somewhere there. So I always had that something inside of me. I would build. I've studied informally, studied too many different subjects, which is why I know a lot of things. And when I wanted to start this, I was like, I'm going to do this end to end alone. Last time I had a co-founder. The co-founder did a bunch of things for the organization, and I did not pay attention to it, which were the heavy lifters, right? How finance works, how paperwork works. I would just do the creative side of the business. But now I've learned so many things about, for example, registering a business, doing legal, doing invoices, the boring stuff. It helps you grow as a person. Right? When you're in one organization, you are, most of the people, not everyone, are only doing this much of the role that helps the organization grow just a little bit. I don't even know where my contribution fits into the entire process of the organization making money or making an impact in the world. But when you're running a small scale something, end to end, you know it and you can see the result. So, coming up with the name, designing the logo, designing the website, it's there. And I know I can put my name into it because I've done it from scratch. So, I think the feeling of creating something it's very nice. When you do something on your own, you just feel a certain feeling. I think I've chased that all my life. So, that's how I landed.
Wonderful. No, I would want you to expand your venture. You're doing great job. I'm happy to be associated a couple of times, and I would love
Absolutely.
to, help in any capacity.
Absolutely, Austin. You're here. You're already helping. You always show up to my events. That's all the help. And it's just nice to just you know on paper the name is mine or whatever. But at the end of the day, I wanted the company and the entity to be something different than just me. People should associate with the purpose as something of their own. They should feel like the community is their own community. This stands for something. This is what they believe in, right? Higher purpose or whatever it is. And which is why I wanted to also separate it from my name to something else, which is where Humanize and all of that came out. I'm like, what would make the people feel like this is our voice? Sonali is just speaking it. That's it. But uh, बोल आप रहे हो लेकिन शब्द हमारे हैं. That way. So wanted to also put it, and you've always been there to help amplify the voice and all of that. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, I do have one very sweet comment there. Garima is saying, "Go Sonali, love the energy you bring to every conversation with a heart." Thank you so much, Garima. That's very very sweet of you. So, I wanted to kind of just come to a little closure of our conversation here. I wanted to share a story that you had shared in one of our workshops. I remember all your stories, by the way, Jocelyn.
Thank
All of
you.
almost all of it.
Thank you.
uh, I remember we were talking about gender neutral washrooms,
Yes.
and we were talking about managers and safe spaces and support and all of that stuff. And when you mentioned that, your manager asked you, why do you use a gender neutral washroom out of curiosity? And then you mentioned that, I don't know if I should use the female washroom. I don't know if people will be comfortable. And then they just asked, have anyone told you anything? And you were like, no, I really didn't. And I think that was it. They just mentioned, why don't you actually go use it? And then, fast forward to today. You have the best conversations, and you meet people, all of that. And I think this is where, we keep talking about safe space. This is a safe space, or let's have a safe space. Do you really do you think people know what it means, and what does it mean to you? And as a manager, as a leader as well, how do you also provide that safe space for your team or people around you?
Oh yeah, this is a very relevant question because, you know, before I, had to come to office in person, my, the entire reluctance that I had was around this aspect. Like, oh my God, I wasn't, work from home for a long time and I was comfortable. I was like, okay, fine. Even if it's a video, it was just like this. But I'm gonna come to office and I'm like 6 feet. I have broad shoulders. I was like, oh my God, how is that gonna happen? And I was actually kind of resisting it, you know. And to your question, it's very difficult for anyone to understand because this is a very very specific experience for people in the community, especially people who have changed their form and appearance. So it took time, for anyone. In fact, for anyone, it would take time to determine if the space around you is safe or not. It cannot happen, immediately. It has to take its own course of time. No, but what safe space means is The moment you think that you're seen for who you are, and you heard, and you're valid, you know, uh, until that, then I think it's difficult to. Luckily, fortunately, I have done that for myself in my workspace, at least around where I am. There are a lot of places that I don't normally explore. For example, I choose not to go to lunch cafeterias. That's just a personal choice. And I avoid going to crowded spaces. Not as as a, what to say, I mean, not out of fear or something, but that's just my choice. But still, within the spaces I surround myself with, I'm very lucky to say that I've established that safe space. But for a lot of people, it doesn't quite happen. uh, Most of the times it's not from the other side, it's always within yourself, right? Because fighting with yourself is the the worst fight and the most difficult fight than anybody else. you know so as long as you fight within yourself, you cannot come out of that and establish a safe space. And it requires good people to be able to fight. For me, it was my manager at time. She made me come out of that zone. You need allies, Sonali, to be able to establish the safe space. It's not very easy to do it individualistically. You need a strong ally, and I had strong, be it my manager, team, who ensured things were in track for me. So very happy for that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, you're right. I think you have shared something very interesting, which is like a lot of times when we say safe space, we also put the onus on people around us. But like it sort of is a two-way traffic, because a lot of times it has happened that no matter what anyone else does around you, internally also it takes time for us to feel safe, for us to do some stuff. Like I'll share a very small incident. It's really funny. Like we all have our unique experiences. For me, I just came back from a wedding. Friend's sister got married. She called, and now the first thing that crossed my mind is, what will I wear? Typically a girls at weddings dress up beautifully, right? I mean, they're sometimes even beautifuler than the bride in terms of their dresses and what they wear. And it's feminism at its peak, like feminist, the typical femininity at its peak. But then I don't dress up like that, and I have been looked at like an alien at many different events like this, because they expect, again, we've had women with short hair as well, right? But they also, a lot of women with short hair also dress up in a very typical women fashion, which I don't. Now that was the first thing. But I have known this friend for a while, and I know, and we have gone to other people's weddings, and this has been an ongoing discussion, and I've seen that eventually I also had to make myself feel confident that it's okay, we'll see, let's just go, let's not skip these very important functions which are obviously important to people around you. The next thing is, if I want to wear something new or whatever, I want to match with someone, where will I shop from? Now I can't shop from the women's section, because what I wear they don't have it there. So I have to shop from the men's section. Now if you go to any mall, right, the men's and the women's section are separated on two different floors, and they have changing rooms in each floor. So if I take the kurta or whatever I want to wear from the men's section, I have to come down or go to the women's section and change there. Now, when I take this piece of clothing there, the person who's there, who's going to take, whatever, say, no more than five clothing is allowed, the person who's manning that place looks at me odd, that hey, this doesn't belong to this floor. A lot of times I've been confused, but then I'm like, roll with it. So these all of these things come to my mind. There have been times when I've just bought it but not tried it, and that did not fit me. It's either too tight or too loose. It's because I've not tried it, right? Because I'm so like, I just don't want to go through that experience, right? So I have stopped shopping too many places. I don't also take people along with me, because I'll feel embarrassed if this happens in front of someone I know. Again, these are so unique as an experience. Obviously, people will only get to know once I tell them. I have had friends who told me, why are you so hesitant to try it? And the moment I told them, they understood that this is a real problem. Right? Like, imagine going to, I'm taking my sister or a friend and they're changing and I'm standing outside. People there will not let me stand there because they'll feel I'm a guy and I'm inside the women's changing room. And then I have to tell them, and there are 10 people already standing and they're also listening to the conversation. It's really odd. It's really embarrassing. And I really don't want to do it. Now, how much can you avoid? So, in my head, also, I have to be ready for it. Like, okay, people might look at me odd, which means I have to just ignore them, right? So much goes on inside a person. I think, like you mentioned, that when you have conversations, when you really listen to people, these stories will come out. The whole, washroom thing. I have spoken to so many people, trans women, trans men, who have avoided or not taken up jobs because they just don't want to do this entire business of washrooms and all. They have avoided drinking water because they don't want to go to the washroom. This is such, like, when people hear it, they're like, how, what? We doesn't even cross our mind that going to washroom is not even, it's not even a thought. But even for me, that's a thought because again, I look a certain way every time I enter any offices I go to, right? Even if they have janitor washrooms, sometimes it's a little far from the typical washrooms, or it's occupied with someone who's a person with disability, because they usually do that, they make it like a washroom for everyone. So use the women's loo, and then they stop me or they ask me questions. And obviously, in the loo, there are other people also. Again, you're embarrassed. So there is so much that happens. You get to know once you go along with it. And like you mentioned, an ally really helps. Many of times, I've actually had to tell friends that I'll get very awkward, and I'm very like about it. And then they'll ask me, "What do you want us to do? Do you want us to explain to this person? Do you want us to just stand with you?" I think just if you ask people around you, how would you like us to support you, that itself is such a big blessing. It can change so many things for us, and I'm
You
so glad you're bringing this concept as well.
No, absolutely true. Because I think this is where I think some of the industries like retail industry, or maybe the medical industry. I mean, there are some industries where I think awareness has to be forced upon. Like, I mean, I totally understand where you come from, especially though I've never crossed my mind about women buying in men's section, and not being able to, you know, uh, do trials without people staring to me. But what happened to me a couple of times was the footwear section is hell. But because normally, uh, our sizes are big, our foot is big, there's a lot of things that we cannot change, like the shoulders or like the jaw, and the foot cannot change. I tried everything. Maybe I can break the bones and make it smaller. So footwear is a challenge. The minute you go to the footwear section, मैडम आपका size में कुछ भी नहीं है. I'll be like, भैया तो try करो ना, just don't लो for me. But after a lot of insisting, couple of course, two, three brands are there where you can get the. I don't want to say my size, but that happens in the footwear. Uh, you
Yeah.
know, Thankfully the dresses and other stuff, they're like, most of them are stretchable, so I don't get that problem. But again, undergarment section is again a big challenge. There are men there, and it's difficult to talk about all this. So I think retail industries, or the medical industries, even when the reports come, what happens is the counts, the reports, the diagnosis, and the variations, the threshold limit is different for men and women, even for platelets, or you know so it always goes above the threshold for us, because biologically we're not
Yeah.
going to match that. You're getting my point, right? So it
Yes.
comes as an alarm in the report, but actually it's not an alarm. So I think the fluidity that we're talking about is still a work in progress in many industries. We often
Yes.
talk about IT, corporate industries, where we have good policies, and we're there. you know, the tier two or small scale industries or other different industries, I honestly feel that the fluidity or the non-binary, those concepts are actually not. It's like non-existent, right? So I think we're all navigating to kind of work around this problem,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I can only imagine what you went through.
Yeah, it's funny. I think after part time you start seeing the humor in it, and I think you and I should definitely go shopping together. Give the give people in the people who are there managing the store some story to also mention that two people walked in. I had nothing for them. So shoes for me are also a problem. I'll tell you why, because I also wear formal shoes. Now, if you go to the women's section, their formal shoes are again very like feminine. You don't get boots and what I wear. Now if I go to the men's section, the whatever is their smallest is still big for me because I have small feet, biological. Again, that is the same issue, right? When I have to get, let's say, shirts or t-shirts, very specific brands, or I have to tailor it, even XS. So for the longest time, I would wear. It's very funny. I would wear T-shirts from the boys section, the boys 16, 17-year-old. Like, so, a lot of time when my T-shirts come back from the laundry, you can I fold it or someone folds it. It shows boy 16 to 17 years or 15 to 17 years. It's really funny. Um, I'm very hesitant because if it goes to laundry and some friend sees it, they're like, "Who is this boy?" And it's more normally me, right? So very fun things that you navigate around. But I think, like you mentioned, that um, uh, there is progress, but there's also much work to do. We should not stop. And my only wish is for each industry to look at their audience in different segments. I think go beyond just male and female. Look deeper. Look at cities, backgrounds, personalities, other orientation, gender, in a broader sense, in a little bit of a deeper sense. I think we have to stop generalizing. Men are only like this, women are only like this. There are only two colors. Like I go to the male section, is it's become better over the years, but a lot of monochromes. Why are we forcing men to only wear grays and navy blues and whites? Why not other colors? If you ask a man to wear a different color, he doesn't have it. He has to go and he can't
Oh,
buy it because it doesn't exist. Right?
oh
So
yeah.
too much. Too much
That's why I
generalization.
always make sure that I appreciate men in florals, men
Hmm.
in block, patterns,
Yes.
anything apart from plain. I make sure to appreciate them because uh, it gives that that courage for them to choose. And I'm happy that now the varieties have come,
Yes.
beautiful colors, color blocks for men. I'm like, okay.
Yes, yes. And also I feel like of course if you are someone like whoever is watching listening to us, if you are someone who's creating a product, again look deeper, talk to different kinds of people who can use your products. Like be creative, but the creativity cannot come from your own brain only because you're also limited. Every one of us has limited knowledge. Go to the market, speak to different kinds of people, how they use your product, how they perceive it. And for us who are everyday people who are using products, I think my suggestion to them would be to not make fun of people who are trying something different. The amount of people women who have told me, I love your hair, I wish I could go short like you. And I would ask them, what's stopping you? 99% of the time it's judgment from other people. No, 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 no. They only say I won't look good. They also know it in their heart they will look good, but they feel like if we go this short or whatever, people around us will make fun of us and make us conscious. And that has been the problem for centuries now. People don't try new hairstyles, new products, new kind of clothing because other people around us are always making fun. I think we have to stop that as well.
Oh yeah, this is a huge topic. We can speak for days and days.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. So I have two interesting comments. I'll just put it up there and then we can call it a day. Pranav is saying you look cool. I think it's for the two of us. Thanks, Pranav.
Thank
And
you. I think cool belongs to you. I'll give
I'll
it to
take it.
you.
I'll take it also. Anushka is saying 100% true. I think it's the whole dress, clothing conversation we had.
Yeah.
So
Would love
thanks, I
if
appreciate it.
Anushka brings a context. We have a
Yes.
minute more. I would love
Yeah,
to hear.
if you want, Anushka, please give us some context. Let us know what you feel, because I think I've met Anushka somewhere in one of the workshops.
Ah,
Yes, but every time I also go and I talk a lot about being a tomboy and all of that, I get to meet many women who are like, oh, thank God someone is talking about this, and I we don't feel weird. Someone is there. I remember I had gone to a school where I had to talk to kids who are fifth and sixth graders. Chotu, small kids, so cute they were. And once my entire conversation was over, very difficult, right? Kids are very finicky, and you have to use some, like, how do you say the word sexual orientation? You can't, they'll laugh. The school has also told me you can't use such words, but I still have to talk about it. So somewhere I figured out different terms and all of that. And then the principal asked the kids, does anyone have anything to share? And there was a girl with short hair. She was wearing a shirt and skirt, looked very much like me in school. And she came up and she said, I'm very new to the school. I'm so glad you came here because finally I saw someone on stage who looks like me. And in my previous school, I people were not very nice to me, but in this school people are very nice. And it also creates an impression when you find someone who looks a little like you, and if other people around you also admire them or they are in a leadership position just like you, it eases out the judgment. And I can see that you're definitely doing that for your community. People look at you and they feel we can be that. We also can aim higher. And team members, you also put team members at ease, because at the end of the day, if I have a colleague around me, I might make fun of them, but I'll think two three times before making fun of my manager and my leader, right? And I'll think about the jokes, I'll think about my tone. And I think after a point of time, that's important. The amount of people that have cracked unfunny jokes around me is also not a joke. Sometimes hesitation is good, and that comes from a position of power when they start respecting you and looking up to you. And I'm so glad that you're doing it for the next generation to come, Jocelyn. So thank you for doing that.
no problem.
Perfect, perfect. So I think we're at time. If you have any end thoughts before we close up, would love to know.
No, I would say that we both are doing whatever you just said now, breaking the stereotypes and um, not mindfully or consciously, but we both are representing, in a great way. We both are doing it. You have a lot of fans, especially in my organization, in my ERG. We have an employee resource group in my organization, and you have been, the person who helped us launch it. So you have a lot of fans in my group. I could vouch for it, and I would like to take this moment to thank everyone who uh, started this ERG in my organization. It's still going strong. I heard that there are a lot of other companies where ERGs don't successfully, sustain. But ever since you launched, it's still going strong. Happy to say that. I know we had my team, and now we have a rotating core committee. So we have a new core committee who's taking care of it. I was the first core committee, and we're doing great. And all thanks to you. We want you to keep doing the same thing. Spreading awareness, giving real-time examples. That's what you do. You don't bring these templates and give definitions, theoretical definitions. You don't do that. You bring real-time examples, and you make people relatably understand. So I would like you to keep doing it. And for myself, yes, I'm doing it. I'm not doing it consciously. I never represent anyone. I just represent who I am, you know. But still, I am positive that my representation does help break some of the stereotypes for people around me. I'm happy about that. But uh, it's not just about one person. As I was talking to you about before, um, there is an amount of privilege for people who are educated or who are professionally or financially independent, but there aren't, of people who are not in this space, who are really struggling. So we should also create a voice for them and make this change, this movement spread across. This is just definitely a revolution. We are all, I am a benefactor of this because before 10 years, 15 years, we didn't have a lot of people. And now I'm here because of the struggles that this I had to go through. And I'm a benefactor. I'm, you know, I've been able to enjoy some of the rights that I've got. But to talk about the future generation, I think we all have to work together. We're doing it, and I hope we both can do it together. We
Perfect,
have a
perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. I'm going to pull up this last comment before we close it for the day. Pramita is saying, insightful conversation. Nice to hear you both. I'm doing research on gender inclusive workplace in IT industry. Thank you so much for this conversation. Got some new perspective to think of. Thanks, Pramita. That's very sweet of you. All
thank
the
you so
best
much,
for
Pramita.
your research paper.
Keep doing it. Do a lot of surveys, a lot of
Yes.
research. As I told you, touch base, tier one, tier two, large scale, small scale industries. If you go just by one layer, you would get very like a unified dimension. You will not get, multi-dimensional perspectives. Like 3 cannot be achieved if you do not cover this.
Perfect. Awesome. All right, Jocelyn, thank you so much. How do you feel? Did you have fun?
Oh, I had so much of fun. I'm almost thirsty and hungry. I don't know why after talking to you. And I love your bleach and yellow. I love this combination.
Thank you.
So, watching this live, please try this combination. It would work. Not for me, but
No, no, why not for you? I mean, come on. It
I'll try.
could. Yeah, please do try. Let me know. This is just a fluke combination. I tried it on. I was like, oh, not bad. I might look camouflaged, but I said, okay, that's the head. That's what the head is for. So we are okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. I had so much fun with you. Of course, I'll see you very, very soon at whatever events we eventually end up meeting at. And to everyone who just came up and shared your views, the recording will be up on both LinkedIn and YouTube. Give it a watch anytime you want. Share it, like all of that too. Give us a lot of love. Do go follow Jocelyn on LinkedIn and Instagram if that is a place that you do keep yourself active. And as for me, I'll again see you in the next conversation. Thanks a lot,
Thank you so
Jocelyn.
much. Bye bye. Happy weekend.
Bye. You too. Bye bye.